Sasuke, I see the weight you carry, the burden of your past, the shadows that have haunted you and the pain that has driven you to the brink of darkness. Your life has been a battlefield, not just against others, but within your own soul. You've lost loved ones, witnessed unimaginable horrors, and felt the sting of betrayal. It's no wonder that your heart has hardened, that you've turned to vengeance as a way to cope with the unbearable sorrow. But Sasuke, you must understand that vengeance is a path that leads only to more suffering. The more you seek to quench your thirst for revenge, the more it will consume you, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. You have tried to fill the void in your heart with anger, but that void is not meant to be filled with such darkness. The pain you feel is real, but the solution is not in continuing the cycle of hatred. Remember what you've learned along your journey, the times when others have reached out to you with compassion, the moments when you've felt a glimmer of hope, only to push it aside in favor of your quest for power. It's not too late to turn back, to let go of the bitterness that has taken root in your soul. The first step to healing is acknowledging the pain, but not letting it define who you are. You were never meant to carry this burden alone, Sasuke. You were never meant to walk this path of isolation and anger. I know the world has been cruel to you, but there is still kindness to be found, still love to be given and received. You have the power to change, to break free from the chains that bind you to the past. Let's talk about Itachi. You've spent so much of your life consumed by thoughts of him, his actions, his choices, the way he shaped your destiny. You've seen him as both a hero and a villain, someone to admire and someone to despise. But Sasuke, have you ever truly tried to understand him beyond the pain he caused you? Have you considered that perhaps he was a man torn between duty and love, that his actions, while misguided, were driven by a deep desire to protect you? Itachi's choices were his own, and they were far from perfect. But your choices, Sasuke, they don't have to mirror his. You don't have to carry on the legacy of hatred and suffering. You can choose a different path. Itachi's life was filled with tragedy, but yours doesn't have to be. You can honor his memory by living a life of peace, by striving to be better than the circumstances that shaped you. And let's not forget about the others who have stood by your side, even when you didn't deserve it. Naruto, your brother in all but blood, he has never given up on you, no matter how far you've strayed. He has seen the good in you, even when you couldn't see it in yourself. He has fought for you, not just with fists and jutsu, but with his heart. He's been your constant, your reminder that there is still hope, still light, even in the darkest of times. Sasuke, you don't have to walk this path alone. You don't have to carry the burden of your past forever. There is strength in forgiveness, in letting go of the pain that has held you captive for so long. I know it's not easy. I know it feels like letting go means losing a part of yourself. But what if instead it means finding the part of yourself that has been lost for so long? You have the power to change, Sasuke. You have the power to turn your life around, to choose love over hate, peace over war, and forgiveness over revenge. It won't be easy and it won't happen overnight. But every journey begins with a single step. Let this be your first step towards healing, towards finding the peace you've been searching for all your life. And remember, Sasuke, you are never truly alone. I am here with you, always, guiding you, watching over you, hoping that you will choose the path of light. The world is full of possibilities, and your story is not yet written. You have the power to decide how it ends. Sasuke, you've sought power for so long, believing that it's the key to achieving your goals, to righting the wrongs of your past. But I want you to consider this. What is power without purpose? What is strength without direction? Power in itself is not inherently good or evil. It's how you use it that defines its impact. You've gained incredible strength, but at what cost? And for what ultimate purpose? You've convinced yourself that gaining power would allow you to avenge your clan, to create a world where you no longer suffer. But in your pursuit of strength, you've lost sight of what truly matters. You've become so focused on your goals that you've allowed power to consume you, to dictate your actions, even when those actions lead you further into darkness. Think about it, Sasuke. Every time you've reached a new level of strength, has it brought you peace? Has it filled the void in your heart? Or has it only deepened your pain, isolated you further from those who care about you? Power can be a trap, an illusion that makes you believe you're in control, when in reality it controls you. You've seen it time and again. Those who seek power above all else often lose themselves in the process. Look at the path you've walked. How many times have you felt that power would bring you justice, only to find that it brought you more suffering? How many times have you used your strength to strike down your enemies, only to feel emptier than before? Sasuke, true strength doesn't come from how many battles you've won or how many enemies you've defeated. True strength comes from within, from your ability to choose what's right even when it's difficult. It comes from your ability to resist the temptation of hatred, to overcome the desire for revenge, and to act out of love and compassion instead of anger. You've been misled to believe that power is the ultimate goal, that by becoming stronger, you'll finally find the peace you seek. But peace doesn't come from power. It comes from acceptance, from letting go of the past and embracing the present. It comes from realizing that your true worth isn't determined by your strength, but by your actions, by the choices you make each day. Let me ask you this: what kind of world do you want to live in? A world where strength is everything, where might makes right? Or a world where people are valued for who they are, not how powerful they are? A world where forgiveness and understanding prevail over violence and retribution? You have the power to create that world, Sasuke. Not through force or intimidation, but through the choices you make and the example you set. You've been given a gift of incredible talent and ability, but with that gift comes responsibility. You have the responsibility to use your power for good, to protect those who cannot protect themselves, to build a better world for the future. Imagine what you could accomplish if you redirected your focus from gaining power to using the power you already have to make a positive difference. Imagine the lives you could change, the peace you could bring, if you chose to use your strength to help others instead of seeking vengeance. Sasuke, the world doesn't need another powerful warrior bent on revenge. The world needs someone like you to stand up and say, enough. Enough of the hatred, enough of the violence, enough of the pain. It's time to break the cycle, to create a new legacy, one of peace, understanding, and love. You've been given a choice, Sasuke. You can continue down the path you're on, seeking power for its own sake, or you can choose a different path, one that leads to true strength and true peace. It won't be easy, and there will be times when you'll be tempted to return to your old ways. But remember, every time you choose love over hate, every time you choose to forgive instead of seeking revenge, you grow stronger, not just in body, but in spirit. And that, Sasuke, is the kind of strength that no one can take away from you. The strength that comes from within, from your heart and soul, from your connection to those you love and the world around you. That's the strength that will carry you through the darkest of times and guide you towards the light. You are more than your power, Sasuke. You are more than your past. You have the potential to be a force for good in this world, to be a beacon of hope for those who are lost, just as you once were. Embrace that potential. Embrace the strength that comes from love, from forgiveness, from peace. That is the path to true power and the path to true peace. Change is not a sign of weakness, Sasuke. It is a sign of strength, of resilience, of wisdom. It takes strength to admit that you were wrong, to acknowledge your mistakes, to choose a different path. It takes resilience to keep going, even when the journey is difficult, even when you face setbacks and challenges. And change is not about becoming someone else, Sasuke. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, about realizing your full potential, about living a life that you can be proud of. It's about taking the lessons you've learned, the experiences you've had, and using them to shape your future, to guide your actions, to determine who you want to be. So Sasuke, I ask you, will you choose the courage to change? Will you choose the strength to persevere, even when the path is difficult? Will you choose to become the person you were always meant to be, to live a life of peace, of love, of compassion? The choice is yours, Sasuke, and I believe you have the strength to make the right one.